Yes, thanks for staying with us on the Sports Show. Of course, last week, for those that watched, Glenn Manton was our special guest. We ran out of time because we just had too many questions for you, so we had to get the great man back again. Good enough to give us some more of your time, mate. Appreciate that.
Happy to be here. Thank you for flying me in.
Yeah, on my private jet, mate.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely no problem at all.
Continuity issues, I think, but hey.
We'll be off to the Bahamas just after the show, mate. Now, I want to ask you, the AFL, and there has been a lot more about mental health, suddenly where people are trying to reach out and understand it as opposed to, mate, you've got some problems, or lady, you've got some problems, you've got nothing. Are you across that space in any of your work that you're doing with your stuff?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of work for the AFL, with AFL Victoria, with the Elite Under 16 and Under 18 programs, both coaching and wellness direction, all of this sort of stuff. I'll throw this back at you two. Isn't it frustrating to think that this is only becoming an important awareness point now?
Absolutely.
You would have seen some horrific
Absolutely you have.
journeys over the course of your time.
And you know, I reckon there were certain players in the team that actually reached out, that were soft and caring. And then, of course, that era, if you go, late 70s, early 80s, you have to be a man. Mate, if you're crying in the change room before the game, mate, you can't be here. If you can't turn up for training because you're not in a good space, then you're off the team. Now we're wrapping our arms around these people and understanding it. And I don't know that we still understand it fully. I don't know if we ever will, but at least now we're reaching out now and trying to understand it.
I think the interesting thing about it is that on the sporting landscape, that emotional intelligence is certainly the final frontier. We can train harder and longer and lift more weights and run greater distance and faster. That's all fine. But where's your mental capacity at? Where's your emotional well-being at? That, to me, is the space that we really need to invest, because elevating that elevates the rest. It's incredible to think back in the year 2000, I just signed a new contract, I should say, with the Carlton Football Club. And I just had my first child, Oscar. And there were enormous complications for both baby and mother. And I said to the club, I need time. I need time for my family. And they said no. And I took the contract and I tore it up and I gave it back to them and said, I'm done here then.
Good on you.
And Channel 7 camped out front of my house for weeks and weeks and weeks. They didn't realise I had a back door as well. I just kept going out the back door and doing what I needed to do. It's
unusual for the media not to know what they're doing.
They didn't pick up on that. But how sad, because that really fractured a relationship between the club and I.
Yes.
That was something that's hard to come back from when your son is needing operations, your then wife is unwell, and they're saying, hey, you need to focus just on your football. To me, that's not rocket science.
No. You know, the moment you talk about that, the wellness programs and whatever, as ex-sports people, you immediately go back to people that you knew that had problems. They just come up. They just, they're everywhere. A-grade cricketers, state cricketers, guys that you just think are tough as old boots and whatever, and you don't worry about them. I know guys that have just ruined their lives through alcohol because of the pressures and the whatever, that no one ever grabbed them. No one ever said, oh, listen, mate, do you need a hand here?
Correct.
As Phil said. I think if you cried or you whinged or you carried on, then you were a pussy.
No.
And that was basically, you're not a man. So it really does affect that. There must be millions of them out there.
Absolutely, men and women. Across all sorts of sports, and not to mention the officials, the coaching staff, the trainers, again, across the sporting landscape. Everyone's absolutely, everyone's deserving of the same opportunities to be heard and be supported.
Yeah. It's really weird. It's a great program. The program you're running with the AFL, you said you're into coaching and wellness programs. So footy and wellness. So what do you do with an under 16 group? What would you do?
The number one thing you need to do with an under 16 group is build trust, build that communication network, create space where they can relate back to you and share with you, and realise that is a 24-hour, 365 day of the year service for them. I was going to take Christmas Day off. 365 day of the year service for them, where they come first. Where they're the priority, where there's no hidden catch, bells or whistles. It's just about them.
So Glenn, is there a light bulb moment, if you've got a group of kids, a group of 16-year-olds, is there a light bulb moment when you're speaking to a kid where you can say, well, you can think, well, wow, hang on, I need to talk to this, I need to help this kid. Something they say or in their actions or whatever?
So I would speak on any given day to probably 300 or 400 young people. And this is a rare day where I'm not in a school working with young people or working with young...
I thought you were just saying we weren't young. Oh, no, we're going.
We established that you're over 30-year-old. But when you've been doing as long as I have, you tend to be able to look at an audience and be able to pick out certain traits, certain mannerisms, and then of course you give them access to you behind the scenes. So every young person that I speak with, let alone every corporate, has access to me behind the scenes, and that's ongoing. So I'll get all sorts of communication from young people asking for help. They've done something that's run foul of the law, they've done something that's put them in a difficult situation with their partner or their family. They're looking for help, they're looking for non-judgmental help. They're more likely to act with a conduit such as myself than go to the police or a psychologist or whoever it may be. You can't imagine too many young people knocking on the door of the police or the psychologist's office and saying, hey, I need help. They're looking for that bridging mechanism, and that's where I've quite specialised.
Wow. Okay.
I'll ask you this question, mate.
Please.
2000, you tear up your contract with Carlton because your wife's just had your first child. 18 years later, 3 children later, I'm writing books, I'm dealing with 300, 400 kids, I'm dealing with corporates, I'm involved with the AFL. Do you sleep at all? Sorry, it's a two-part question. First one, I jokingly, do you sleep?
Sure.
Second part is, how do the wife and kids fit in to Glenn Manton's life? It's consuming.
No, it really isn't, Phil. It might appear that way, but I've always been very, very compartmentalised in the way I go about my business. So it's bang, 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 bang. There's no overlap. I don't carry things over. I don't carry yesterday over into today. It's about what we're doing here and now, and it's very much family focused. So all those priorities revolve around family first. So getting my kids to sporting events, supporting them on the back end of those events or school or whatever it may be, that's at the top of the tree. Everything else fits in around it. So on paper, it looks more glamorous and exciting than it is.
But there's a skill set to what you've just talked about. You're able to put it in compartments and leave yesterday behind to get on today, because there's no value in yesterday other than the experience of
Sure.
it. Does that help you when you're talking to the kids? Let's let that go and let's move into the next phase of where we need to be.
I mean, the book that we discussed on last week's program, which is still sitting on the desk here
Put your
today,
damn phone
which of
down.
course I will promote again. There it is
There you
again.
go, man.
Please,
Put your damn
available in all
phone down.
good
Yep.
bookstores. Non-prescriptive.
Yep.
So I'm not interested in telling anyone how to live their life. I'm interested in hearing about your life, sharing mine. What we come up with in terms of the melting pot from there is anyone's guess, but from there you can make your own decisions. I know about you, but I don't like people telling me how to do anything.
Yeah.
I like people showing me, sharing with me,
Yep.
guiding me, but hey, being demonstrative, punitive, you must do it this way, I don't think it really gets us anywhere.
Yeah, we always say, across the journey, different people. So one way is not always the best way. So let's find some other ways. Mate, you're back here October the 20th, or there's a function here October the 20th at the Tivoli Hotel, mate.
I'll be speaking.
Your involvement with AFL International, mate?
Well, I'll be speaking at this particular event, which is a fundraiser for next year, another gratuitous plug, thank you, for a series of, I guess, road shows, if you like, working with youth that I'll be doing in 2019, fingers crossed. So get along, populate this particular event, tickets available online, etc., all the usual places. I'm sure some sort of graphic will pop up as I'm speaking, but this is a great opportunity for this particular road trip to take place.
Now, mate,
I thought he was
one of the people in
Ace Frehley. I'd always wanted to be Ace Frehley.
Yeah, I could see that. Mate, if we want to get Put Your Damn Phone Down, autographed by Glenn Manton, how do we get to that? How does someone get a copy of that?
If you want to get an autographed one, you can buy one through my website.
Which is?
Otherwise, it's just glennmanton.com.au, 2 N's in Glenn.
Yep.
Or, I don't know what that second N does. I think it's good for Scrabble.
Yep.
But
Were
this
you good at
particular-
Scrabble?
No, it's terrible
No,
at
it's
Scrabble.
not for Scrabble,
Not
mate.
interested in
No.
Scrabble. It's too mundane, boring. Look, all good bookstores, Kmart, it's available online, Booktopia, all this sort of thing. Into our third print run ahead of Christmas, so that's fantastic. It's only been out for a month. It's been highly received in a huge way. It's fantastic. I'm asking you a question.
Have I got a copy of it? No, but I'll get
I'm
one.
asking you a question.
Sure.
If you and I went 3 spots, 10 shots at each, corners, top of the key,
Phew.
who's going to win that?
No, you will.
I will win that one.
Yeah, you will.
I'll win that.
So we put that down for a time?
Yeah, I'd like to do that. That would be a
I'm
good
in
charity
Melbourne in
event.
the next
I'd be
all right, it's on.
interested in
Game
that.
on. You
I'd like
organise
to
it,
see
I'm
that.
up
I'd
for
like
it.
to see that. That'd be very,
Can
very
we
good.
pick somewhere in
think
Australia though, not
Yeah,
somewhere
we-
on the other side of the world or something?
I think you're better off getting him to bobsled.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
That would be the one to get him to
We just
win,
use him
wouldn't
as ballast at the front of the bobsled, just tuck him under the cowling. I think it'd be very, very good.
What is this? Mate, I've
we
told
just-
you up
we
and
just-
you're
we just turned on you, didn't we? We just turned on you.
Yeah, well, it has been fantastic
it's
to
been
see
a
you, mate.
pleasure to
And we
see you
will
both.
line up a charity thing where we have that, mate.
I would
We'll
love
get
to do that.
Done. All
I'll
right.
see if I can still dunk. I'm pretty confident I can.
I'm confident I can't. I could, but I'm confident I can't anymore.
Did you ever dunk?
Yeah, quite a few times.
Really?
Actually. Most
In a
people are
game?
amazed by that. Yeah.
In a
Quite
game?
a few times.
Yeah, quite a few times.
Quite a few times.
Did you jump off 2 feet or 1 foot or a trampoline?
No, off the 1 foot
Off
runner,
the 1
mate. I was a
foot?
1 foot
Fantastic.
runner.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Off the board, I had all the tricks, mate.
you had all the
I was one of
tricks.
those leapers,
Is there
mate.
any footage of this?
Yeah, there is.
I
I'll tell you
would
what, I'll
love to
get some
see
and I'll
that.
send it to you.
That's what your viewers need. They need the footage of
Yeah,
that.
for good comedy value. Glenn Manton was our special guest.
Thank you.
Stay with us.
You
Bit
two
more to
should
come.
get a room.